The problem we have is that Nigel Farage here has been on a dog whistle tour of the UK for many, many years and exploiting the anxieties that people have, and we really need to change the way that we talk about this issue.
What's your response to that?
I'm just
Nigel
talking
Farage?
numbers. We haven't even mentioned housing yet.
But could you respond to that point in particular?
Oh, no, I ignore that nonsense. Complete nonsense. I'm just talking pure facts.
I love how he just dismisses him as a nobody. Brilliant. Doesn't even give his pathetic insult time of day. As predicted, they tried to gang up on Nigel Farage, especially the two from Scotland and Wales, both forever going after him with personal attacks, and both just came out looking foolish. Nigel Farage is now the most popular politician in Britain, and what I took from this debate is only he cares about reducing or even monitoring immigration. The rest want to actively import the world. And it amazed me, none of the others could tell the difference between mass uncontrolled immigration and sensible immigration. To them, you're either for open borders or you're a fascist. There is no middle ground. To even suggest there should be a limit on how many people can come makes you a Nazi, apparently. And many left-wing nutters actually believe Farage is the second coming of Hitler. Angela Rayner was asked flat out what will happen to all the illegal immigrants who come here. She refused to answer. We all know they will be staying, even the criminals. They'll all be given a house, especially now Labour has said it is going to pave over the entire countryside to make way for houses. Farage brilliantly called her out when she said immigration is too high. We all know Labour isn't going to do anything about immigration. It wasn't even in their top 6 policies, as Farage again rightly pointed out. The problem is the main parties know that unlike them, the British people want immigration lowered. So now politicians are pretending they will lower it just to get votes. They were all asked to raise their hands if they wanted to reduce immigration.
Please raise your hand if you think the net level of legal migration, that is the additional number of people coming to the country to work and live, needs to fall. Please raise your hand. The number needs to fall.
What a sorry
Nigel
reflection.
Farage, Penny Mordaunt.
It's due to fall anyway.
Daisy Cooper, Angela Rayner.
The Westminster status quo. That's the Westminster status quo. Of course it is. The four main parties.
Only Farage can be trusted when he puts his hands up. The other main parties will say anything to get votes. The Lib Dem woman's response was hilarious.
Raise your hand. The number needs to fall.
What a sorry
Nigel
reflection.
Farage, Penny Mordaunt.
It's due to fall anyway.
Daisy Cooper, Angela Rayner.
The Westminster status quo. That's the Westminster status quo. Of course it is. The formal with the exact
I welcome immigration because I think that people come here and they're more likely to prop up our public services and work in our public services rather than they are to put a drain on our public services. So I welcome immigration in this country because they contribute to our public service. But the numbers are due to come down anyway.
Absolutely pathetic. And to think her party may be the main opposition to Labour, God help us. They all ban on about democracy, but most of them are straight up authoritarian. Most of them said they want to go back into the EU when asked, even though we already voted for Brexit. Stephen Flynn from the Scottish National Party is forever trying to attack Farage in this debate. He banged on about how unlimited mass immigration is great all night.
And when Nigel Farage tells you all that migrants are making you poor and they're the problem, don't believe him. Do you want to know the biggest problem facing the UK economy right now? His pet project of Brexit.
Well, maybe it's great for Scotland when it is a sparsely populated place with vast swathes of wilderness, but not for England when it is already massively overcrowded. England isn't even double the landmass of Scotland, yet its population is nearly 10 times as much. Anyway, see for yourself and make up your own mind.
Migration levels are too high and getting higher, and it's a strain on public services. But I understand we as a country need some foreign workers. What are you going to do?
Farage.
Well, it's funny Angela Rayner says that because Labour today launched their 6 key priorities for the general election and didn't mention the single most important issue affecting the lives of everybody in this country, namely the population explosion caused directly by migration. The reason we voted Brexit and the reason Penny's party got the massive majority in 2019 is we voted to reduce the numbers coming in, and the numbers have exploded. Honestly, unbelievable. 1 in 30 people walking on the street out there has come in the last 2 years alone. The answer is we have to have net migration at 0. It means skilled workers can come, we can go and work abroad, we have to have a freeze on the total numbers of those coming in.
The problem we have is that Nigel Farage here has been on a dog whistle tour of the UK for many, many years and exploiting the anxieties that people have, and we really need to change the way that we talk about this issue.
It's making us poorer. That's the point. It's making us poorer.
Thank you. We are doing these answers uninterrupted. Thank you for that. Just to return to Christine's question, she's hearing that migration levels are too high, getting higher, putting a strain on those public services. She understands as a country, she says, that we need some foreign workers. What are we going to do about it? Just before we get the debate flowing, please raise your hand if you think the net level of legal migration, that is the additional number of people coming to the country to work and live, needs to fall. Please raise your hand. The number needs to fall.
What a sorry
Nigel
reflection.
Farage, Penny Mordaunt.
It's due to fall anyway.
Daisy Cooper, Angela Rayner.
The
Thank
Westminster
you very much.
status quo. That's
Thank
exactly.
you.
That's the Westminster
it's not at
status
all.
quo. Of course
No,
it is.
no,
The
no.
four main
Stephen.
parties.
No, it isn't.
The four main
No, it isn't,
parties,
Stephen.
all with the exact
I
same-
welcome immigration because I...
We haven't even mentioned housing yet.
But could you respond to that point in
Oh, no, I
particular?
ignore that nonsense. Complete nonsense. I'm just talking pure facts. Housing. We have to build 1 new home every 2 minutes just to cope with legal net migration under this Conservative government. It is literally impossible. And as for the numbers coming in, I would respond to this. 50% of the 750,000 who are coming in a year are dependents. They're not wealth creators. And mass migration is making us poorer. You'll hear, oh, GDP's going up. Well, of course it is. There are more people. GDP per capita, our relative wealth, has declined for the last 6 consecutive quarters.
I hear Nigel talking a lot about. I hear Nigel Farage talking a lot about dependence.
Facts.
The problem that we have in higher education now is that changes in visa requirements means that family members aren't able to come and study to accompany students to Welsh universities. That is causing major problems in terms of revenue for our higher education.
You shouldn't bring your mum. You come to university in Britain, you can't bring your mum, can you? I mean, come on.
But we need people to come to study in our universities.
Thank you.
We're relying on people from abroad to care for our loved ones. They should be able to bring their loved ones with them.
OK, thank you. I just want to turn to Angela Rayner, who's quite quiet here. You did raise your hand alongside Nigel Farage on that question. Angela Rayner.
Yeah, because the Tories, they talk about a cap, but we've had net migration going up and up because our economy has relied on overseas workers well, it's flatlining. But what we...
leader of her party, Keir Starmer, just a couple of years ago, said that we should be talking about the positive benefits of migration. And I actually believe that Angela Rayner probably agrees more with me on this topic rather than she does Nigel Farage or Penny Mordaunt. But the Labour Party has changed, and it's changed in the wrong direction. And when Nigel Farage tells you all that migrants are making you poor and they're the problem, don't believe him. Do you want to know the biggest problem facing the UK economy right now? His pet project of Brexit. £40 billion worth of tax receipts.
Those points, particularly the point on, are you on his side, really, as Stephen Flynn's implying or asking directly? What did you...
Look, first of all, we respect the result of the referendum. I know that the SNP never do, but we do, and that's what we've said.
Christine, the answer to your question is, what are they going to do about it? Neither of them will do anything. These people have lied to us repeatedly, and Labour,
And he made a career of doing that.
Repeatedly. I know I've actually always told the truth. I've always told the truth. Always said what I've... And Labour, it's not even in your first 6 priorities for government. You haven't got the will to do anything about it. Nothing under these is going to change. And the vast majority, not on this panel, obviously, because they're not representative in that sense, the vast majority of Britons want net migration reduced significantly.
Angela.
Deal with the crossings and people that are putting their lives at risk, because the Rwanda scheme will never work. It's always been a gimmick. We would put that money into tackling the gangs, and Keir Starmer said today he's worked on counter-terrorism with overseas before. We can do it again. These gangs that are putting people's lives at risk should not be carrying on in the way they are.
Migration. And again, you have no plan to do it. Well, tell everyone what you're going to do with illegal migrants when they come here. What are you going to do with illegal migrants when they come here, Angela?
We have said that we will fill our skills gap with an industrial strategy to match people to the skills. Because what the Tories...
Thank you.
You're not letting me finish.
Your leader was asked a specific question at the manifesto launch today.
Thank you.
And your leader couldn't answer it.
Penny Mordaunt, thank you. I must bring in...
with illegal migrants that come here?
Thank you, Penny Mordaunt.